All right, guys. Hey, thank you for joining me again. We are going to discuss today the Hilmor Compact Swage Hydraulic Swage Kit. It's a tool that I absolutely could not go without anymore. It is a time saver, it is a money saver, it is every kind of good saver that you would want to have as an HVAC technician or refrigeration technician. So here I have a Hilmor compact swage kit. Okay. And I want to compare it first off with, I think that you can find a lot of generic versions. And I think Hilmor, if you have the view of Hilmor, if you've been in the trades for a while, then you would know that Hilmor previously, up until I would say the last year or two, they were kind of a shitty tool. Uh, I didn't really give them much weight, much credit. It seemed like that a lot of their stuff was built kind of shoddy, not very well, and just cheap overall. And uh, when they came out with their new line of tools, this compact swage kit was a part of it. Okay. And I've had a few buddies who had a few different variations, and one of them actually had this exact kit. And I asked him about it because normally, you know, up until buying this kit specifically, I would use couplers, I would use elbows, street L's, different copper fittings to get my job done. And what I started doing was after talking to my buddy, and he was like, "Dude, this tool will save you money." And I was like, "Okay, well, I've never used one. Can I try yours?" And he let me borrow it for a couple days. I tried it, and I absolutely loved it. Gave it back to him, and I decided to go buy my own set. So what it is essentially, this is the main tool. Okay. This is the hydraulic swage tool itself, and this is the expander. And here is kind of like a hydraulic jack, kind of like a car jack, but you just pump it. So if we squeeze the handle and we pump it, it shoots out this rod. Okay, and this is the expanding rod. So it'll go out, and then eventually it stops. Okay, so with this, you are able to do well. When you buy the kit, you get various sizes included. Okay. It's these little head pieces, these expander heads. And when you buy the kit, it comes with a 3/8, a half inch, a 5/8, a 3/4, and a 7/8, which are the most common sizes you're going to use. Now, if you're in refrigeration, you're going to use like 5/16 and 3/16 and 1/4 inch and other sizes like that. When it comes to typical HVAC now with modern HVAC, like the smallest size pipe we usually deal with in soft copper is 3/8. And anymore, the largest that we deal with is 7/8. Very rarely do we go beyond 7/8 unless it's required. So what's cool about this kit is uh it's easy change, it's low maintenance, and it's actually light, and it's single-handed use. So when I put this together here, okay, it just simply threads on, nice and easy, right? And we have a piece of pipe here. Oh, well, that's the wrong size. Let's go down. Oh, I grabbed 3/4. I meant to grab 5/8 here. So as you see, really easy to switch. I just put my piece of pipe on, and you just squeeze, and you go until it stops. When it stops, you do not want to go any further. You could really damage the tool. But like you can see, we're still going. still going, and right about there is the stop. So when I all the way out, I can't really squeeze it anymore. Hit the release handle on the back, releases the expander, and like that, we have a nice little piece of flare. Or not a flare, swage, you know. So what this does essentially is that where I would originally need a coupler, right, to put two pieces of pipe together, I can now do it simply just by making a swage, and now I can actually connect the fitting. Because before I wish I had a coupler with me. Uh, I would need a coupler originally, you know, where I would have to put a male side and two male sides into each other, and then when they're together with the coupler, you braze them, and that's your joint. Whereas now, instead of having to get a coupler, you know, every time I disconnect the pipe and I need to reconnect them, now I can just swage it, right? And I mean, don't get me wrong, this is a pretty poor swage because I did not clean the copper. I didn't deburr it. I didn't ream it. So the fitment is really not that great. In this case, this is really just for example. But if you look now, I can put these two pieces of pipe together and braze them, you know, prep them, get them together, braze them. And now I have a fitting that I didn't have to go and buy a piece to go in, which, you know, anymore, depending on the size you're dealing with, they're at least $1, you know, $1.50 if you're getting into the bigger sizes, or even more, you know. Some of the 7/8 fittings are like $3, $4 a piece, you know, depending on what you're getting. So when you're doing a lot of pipe work, I mean, if you're saving $1 like this, then that adds up. You know, if you're doing, say, 50 installs a year, and say you use 10 fittings a year, okay, I have a pipe bender that I'm going to do a review on as well, that when it's paired with a swaging tool like this, it ultimately saves you a ton of money, you know, over the year. And if you are a single owner operator, or you're doing side work, things like that, this is the way to go. This will save you so much money and time, because as you saw, you know, even switching between heads, it's just a matter of, you know, you're still going to go through the steps of prepping the pipe for brazing, but now it's just a matter of, you know, get your fitting in, you know, get it in, release it, put your pipe on, braze it, and you're done, you know. And if you have a bender, instead of using, you know, say a 90-degree fitting, or a 45, or like even a street fitting, you know, for copper, you know, with the bending tool, now you can take a piece of pipe, cut the section out, swage each end, right? Bend it to the way you need to bend it for that application, braze it in, and now, instead of in a situation where you might have used, say, one fitting if you came to a 90, or say you needed to get around, right? You know, oftentimes you gotta kind of route the copper a certain way, because it's never just a straight line. uh then what happens is that, you know, you may use a 45, you may use another 45, a 90, you know. And instead of burning up those fittings, which right there, you know, is $3 4, you know, then figure fuel to go get it. Now with a bender and a swager, you can, oh, and two couplers, so that's 5 fittings right there. And you know, that could be even just a small compressor change out, depending on what you're doing. uh then what ends up happening is, uh, now with a bender and a swager, you've eliminated the purchase of the fittings, so you save yourself money on that job just with that, okay? And the fuel to go get that fitting, because chances are you're going to have some copper on the truck. And with your bender, you bend it to where you need it bent and how you need it bent, right? Then with a swager, you swage either both ends. Now you've saved money on the trip as well as the fittings, and you'll have something that comes out usually nice and clean, and your customers will appreciate. And best of all, you'll have other technicians eventually that'll come behind you and see your work. Now, uh, these are very easy maintenance. All it takes really is a dab of grease on the expander head here, and then we can pull this piece off, I believe, too. It's been a while. uh, yeah, I think that'll come right off. Pretty sure it does, but I could be wrong. Well, I don't think it does actually. I think that's because that's the spring assembly. So really, you just come out to full extension, right? And then put a dab of grease right on the cone here, and then release it back, and then you'll be good to go. And if you ever need to use like a degreaser or a like WD-40 and just kind of clean it out, let it dry for a while. I like something that doesn't leave an oil residue. That way, by the time it dries, like a brake cleaner works great. Clean it up, just get all the debris out, and then it's good to go for the next time. And so, as I've said before, I appreciate hard cases with my tools. So, uh, it comes in a great hard case. I've had this tool now, I want to say 2 years, and it has not let me down once. It has been a champ. It has been right there. And, uh, I haven't had any issues with it. I really like it. Now, let's talk cost though. Is a good tool is not cheap, and we know that. So, this tool ended up costing me, I want to say that I bought this, what, 2019, 2020, right in there. Uh, I want to say it cost me about $330 at that time. And I'm not sure now. Let me take a look. Um, Here, let me see. Here, I'll even share the screen. Let's see how much they are now. Because I might. Yeah, okay. So they've gone up quite a bit. So True Tech Tools is a really good place to, if you're an HVAC guy, to purchase your tools from if you aren't already purchasing from a local wholesaler. I typically get most of my tools through the local wholesaler because usually what'll happen is that those wholesalers will actually help uh, honor and carry through the warranties of your tools. Depending, like Milwaukee, for instance. Milwaukee works really close with Slakey Brothers. And so what happens is that if you buy your tool through like Slakey Brothers, then whenever your tool fails, you take it in and they will send it to Milwaukee, have it fixed, and the only thing you really pay is free, which really isn't a big deal. And it depends on like what the damage was, because sometimes they'll just send you a new tool, you know. Um RSD with Yellow Jacket, they do the same thing. I just actually did that with a set of 4 valve Brute 2s, and they just never sealed. I kept losing vacuum. They wouldn't hold a vacuum decay. So I took them in. They said, hey, we'll send them out for you. They sent them out, and Yellow Jacket ended up just pulling off my gauges off the manifold and put in a brand new manifold, threw my gauges in a box, sent it back to me. I just kind of laughed. But yeah, so if you get your tools through the right place locally, then when you do have an issue, chances are they'll be able to go ahead and help get you taken care of in that respect. So if you are online, you know, True Tech Tools usually is a pretty good place to buy your tools if you're going to, like, say there's a tool you want, but there's nowhere local to get it because it's maybe new or not something common in your region. Then, you know, places like True Tech Tools is really good to go. Um, so when we're looking at the Hilmor compact switch tool here, this is the same kit I got. It came with the deburring tool. I lost mine. It's somewhere, but yeah, I mean the kit comes with it. Uh, I bought mine for about $330, and here they have 460 roughly, not including tax if you have to pay tax. Um, yeah, so for it to have gone up $130 is insane, but that's what's going on anymore. And what is nice is that you can, for the Swage kit, purchase the additional heads for them. So, like 1/4 inch, you have inch and an eighth, 5/16. So, they do have more flexibility. They are a bit pricey, it looks like, you know, $50, $80, 90, you know, depending on what you're going for. This is the old school style Swage. So, this style right here, the reason why this compact is such a time saver and bitchin' tool is you have this style, and then I'll see if I can pull up like an imperial style or a yellow jacket style, but this is a hammer punch swage. So you would have to take the pipe, get it hot, get it nice and hot, anneal it, let it cool down a bit, and then you would stick the tapered end in, and then hammer it in until it bottomed out essentially at right here, okay, at that kind of collar sleeve. So it flares up, comes straight, and then ends right at that base. So that's one set. And the compact swage kit here is just hand over fist better than any other type out there, especially this style. So let me go here. Okay, let's see here. Let's go here. Okay, so let's see. Can we get better pictures? Okay, so you have like this kit. Now, this is one that my buddy has, and he loves it. I'm not a huge fan, but what we're looking at is this is Yellow Jackets, flare and swage kit. Now, this does not require annealing of the pipe to use. However, this is a very old school style of swage and flare that really requires it. Like in my last video talking about the CPS flaring tool, this is the tool that really requires the finesse and experience to get used to. And they don't recommend using really this style on mini splits because their flare angles and the amount of flare face is not correct. So this style is more for like mechanical refrigeration, or even residential split systems. They'll use flaring connections if it's a small enough system. So yeah, in those cases, this would work fine. But they also have a swage feature, which are, if you look, these posts right here, these are your swages. And this is your flare right here. So that's your flare cone. These are your swage dies. So you would screw one of these on, whichever size you needed, onto the end of this clamp face. And then you just size it up with the pipe you need, get the right swager, and then you just rotate the handle down and it'll go through. And the challenge is, even with the swaging side, is getting the depth properly, because if you don't get enough of a cup when you're swaging, then it's kind of pointless. Or you can set it too high and then you can end up, if you aren't paying attention, mangling the face. So, you know, it has its pros, it has its cons. But if we're looking at a tool that is going to really help us out, it's going to be this one. So even at $460, if you figure how much money you'd save a year, you're going to save in fittings, let's say your average is $15 for fittings a job, okay? Depending on what you got. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less, and pipe size is dependent, okay? You're probably going to save a couple $100, at least $100 a year in savings, just by not buying fittings, okay? At least couplers. And then if you pair it with a good pipe bending set, yeah, then you're looking at saving a ton of money a year. Now, let's take a look at pipe benders. I'm going to do a breakdown on a product review on my Yellow Jacket set. We'll just kind of take a look at some basic pipe benders here. This was a set I really wanted right here. And this is a little bit, it's actually cheaper than I was expecting. I mean, it's a bit more than what I paid, but I figure with inflation and shit anymore, that this would cost more. But yeah, this is a basic pipe bending set. So essentially you're able to take it, your soft copper, and you can take sections and make some bends. That way you can, really get around certain pieces if you need, or make some turns. So this is the Black Max version, and these actually this kit has the reverse dies here, which is really handy. I don't have that, and I wish I did. And then this is just braces for the different size pipe, and here's your dies right here. But if you pair that with the compact swage kit, you are really cooking. And basically you're looking at $670 total. So figure if you're able to save $150 to $200 a year, okay, in fittings, then you're looking at about a three-ish year payoff, 3.5. Which, if you're making a career of this, once you pass the 3.5 years, now you're just saving money that you would have spent, which is just extra profit in your pocket. So, getting back to the Hilmor, I have a video here from Hilmor that's just going to kind of go over the tool, and it'll allow me to get my ugly mug off the screen, and you can hear from Hilmor the perks, the benefits, and pros of having this tool.
In cramped corners, you need a compact tool that can pack a punch. The Hilmor Compact Swage tool has the power to swage 2 1/8-inch tubing, as well as the precision to knock out a 1/4-inch swage without cracking or splitting. To begin, cut the tube length and deburr the inside of the tube end. Choose the correct size expander head for the tube you are swaging, 3/8 inch in this case. and screw onto the body of the tool. Slide the tube onto the expander head, flush with the back of the insert. Then slowly pump the handle until resistance is felt. This usually takes 15 to 20 pumps. If you have the urge to put a second hand on the tool and tightly squeeze, your swage is most likely complete. To finish the job, release the expander head from the swage tube by pushing down the green release button on the back of the tool. The process is the same for any diameter tubing, except 1/4 inch and 2 1/8 inch. When using the 1/4 inch expander head, expand the head partially, then collapse by depressing the green release button. Rotate and then expand until the desired swage is made. When using the 2 1/8 inch expander head, be sure that the tubing is soft or that hard tubing is annealed before swaging. To keep your tool delivering picture-perfect swages, the expander head should be re-greased after every 20 uses. To do this, remove the expander head and re-grease the cone underneath using either multi-purpose NLGI-1 or NLGI-2 grease. Before changing the hydraulic fluid in your tool, make sure you're in a place where you can spill and have a few shop rags available for cleanup. Once your area is ready, place the tool upside down in a vise or secure it in another suitable manner. Unscrew the handle counterclockwise to remove the handle covering the hydraulic fluid reservoir. If the handle does not come off by hand, use a pipe wrench with a rag between it and the handle to prevent scuffing of the handle. Carefully remove the plug from the reservoir to avoid spilling. Then add fluid. If the reservoir is empty, you'll be adding approximately 0.3 fluid ounces. For optimum performance, HV15 hydraulic fluid is recommended. Once the reservoir is full, you will bleed air out of the tool by squeezing the pump handle 3 to 5 times, followed by pressing the green release button. This should be done with the reservoir cap off. As air bleeds out of the tool, the fluid level may decrease. Continue adding fluid, followed by bleeding air out of the tool until the fluid level no longer decreases. Now carefully place the plug back onto the reservoir. Screw the handle back on the tool. Clean up any excess fluid, and you're done. Get in, get out, and get on to the next job. It's time to retool and conquer with Hilmor's Compact Swage Tool. Contact Hilmor Technical Services for additional product information at 1-800-642-0010.
All right, guys. So there you have it. I didn't even know that the base of this comes off. Mine does not come off very easily by hand, so I'll have to actually put it in a vise and change the fluid. I had no idea about that part, you know. What's awesome is that when you buy it from a wholesaler, they usually don't tell you shit like this. You know, you have to do your reading on it, which is common with most things, I suppose. But so that goes for it for the Hilmor tool. And stay tuned for the next one here at some point. We're going to do the Yellow Jacket pipe bender set. And it's not the entire set because I don't have the reverse mandrel. And yeah, that's the only thing I'm missing out of it. It's not the cool anodized one. I wish it was, but it's not. So stay tuned for that, and then I'm gonna try and line up some other content for us, which I think we need to have a talk about money, and maybe we'll just have some casual conversation on where things are going and what we can do to improve our trade, and you know, how can we make better technicians out of ourselves. And I'm also going to look into recording some service calls. At least that way we can have some more video to go over and kind of analyze and critique and go from there. Uh, but with that, you guys take care, enjoy your day, and I hope that this becomes a tool that is a part of your truck and that becomes a part of your installation uh, pack out, as well as, I hope it saves you a ton of money as it has saved me over the last few years. With that, I'm signing off. You guys take care now.